My name is Tayler Patterson. I grew up in a really small town in Colorado. I graduated with 8 other kids. So when I say small, I mean tiny. I grew up on a working cattle ranch, so we always did lots of odd object stuff, like picking up hay bales and stuff. So when I eventually find CrossFit, that part of CrossFit really, I was like, all right, I've been training for this my whole life. I didn't find CrossFit until 2014, and I joined it because I was trying to stay in shape for basketball. I played basketball at a junior college for 2 years, and I was in between seasons, so I was just trying to stay in shape, and quickly realized that I was not in the shape that I thought I was, which I think a lot of people have that same experience. But I was hooked right away. I finished my season of basketball at the college I was at, and then I just kept doing CrossFit, and it just filled that competitive void. Eventually, I found the fire service, and training CrossFit was a really good way to prep me for that because it's all functional fitness. In fact, I think the gym that I went to was owned by a firefighter, and most of the people in there were pushing me to do fire stuff just because there was a ton of them in that gym. So eventually I went to the fire service for about 7 years, which was a great job, and it gave me the opportunity to train a lot of CrossFit on my days off. But eventually I moved to a busier station, and I was ready to try to be as good as I could at this sport. When I made it to semifinals last year, and I did better than I expected, and I was like, okay, I really want to make a run for the games and see how far I can make it at this sport.
Rather than getting a little bit of collapsing, right? Then you want to support it right here. So when you're overhead, squeeze right here, and then let this support the bar when you're tired rather than this. Okay. Good. I love it. Look at all these barbells going today. Makes me excited. We're just helping some of our pro athletes with their barbell cycling and just kind of being more efficient.
Leading up to this, I told these guys that was one of the things I was most excited about because I have this like weird twist with my snatch. So getting to work with somebody that could hopefully tell me like why that happened so I can fix it. Having her here, I don't think there's anybody better who could diagnose what's going on. Yeah. I sent her a video of my twist with my snatch, and she sent me like a good book's worth of diagnosing of like what was wrong or what she would suggest I could work on to make it better.
And this one is like doing a little torque, so we have to like open up here or work on this lat, I think. Matt, that's what Matt and I were talking about. At first I thought it was coming from her hip, but I think it's coming from her lat and her shoulder on this side because her right side sets in nicely and her left one kind of rotates, and it's causing her to do like what we call a helicopter.
We're just 55 pounds off.
I think it's the shoulder, and her hip is shifting as a result of the shoulder being tight. We're trying to figure out to help that twisting.
Whenever you're done, we can just like jump on the cable machine, do a couple exercises, just see if the lat's engaging or not.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
We'll start there.
Okay.
I joined HWPO 2 years ago, the year I made it to semifinals. I'm one of the OGs. Me and Rafael are both joined pro when it first came out, and been there ever since. And now we're making a run to the games eventually. For me, I chose HWPO Pro. When they first came out with it, they made it like it was capped. I can't remember how they phrased it, but you had a limited time to sign up for it, and it looked very personalized. Like we actually had contact with all the coaches.
Pro members, you know, it's nice to get some eyes on them. You know, like I'm fortunate to be in circle every day and I can help them as much as possible, but that tactile one-on-one coaching is really so really trying to get them to focus on little cues to make their deadlift a little bit better. Something we'll jump in with Jay right now too as well. So focusing on with that overhand, going to internal rotation to get that lat working. So really trying to bend the bar with the pinky side of our hand. And then on the underhand, we can't really do that because that's going to put our bicep at risk of injury. So what we tell them is try to tuck that elbow into your pocket, and that'll activate that low track and that lat as well to really activate that upper back to keep us nice and rigid for a strong pull off the floor.
Having Rob coach us on deadlifts was awesome, especially like him cueing us on different things on like our setup, and then being able to hear him say good job afterwards is like one of the coolest feelings. Yeah. Like I had one of the world's strongest men just told me good job.
Throw down like some deficit.
Okay, I'm doing right.
like 25. Okay. Taylor, you all good with what you're doing?
I think so.
Okay. What are you thinking for the handstand push-ups? How many reps?
Pretty much it's the same conversation I think we had.
Awesome. Yeah.
Other than we didn't talk about deficit. I heard you talk about the deficit.
Yeah, so he was saying he wants to keep it in the 10 to 12 rep range.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that'd be cool.
yeah, so I just want to put down like a tiny bit of deficit, especially just with these mats because your hands sink in a little bit. But I wanted to keep 10 to 12 reps. As soon as that starts to struggle or fail, strip the deficit and keep the volume.
Okay, I'm ready. It's hard. It's hot. But it's good. For me, I need to be inverted. So like Matt said, that's the point of the EMOMs, is to work on the shit we're bad at. So that's what we did.
Like had a bad session, or like the handstand push-ups and quarterfinals came up, and instantly I was like, you quit your drop to this. Before you do it, you quit your drop to this. Like, you're picking this up. Like, you made Andrew sacrifice for this. Summarized, I think mentally, I just like
every point of that story. I'm like, yep, like I made that exact mistake. I made that one. I mean, the mental stuff is like, we've been diving into it a lot more here, because at a certain point, it's like, all right, you guys' training is as dialed in as it can be. Your recovery is dialed in. Now let's start looking at the mental side of things. So we've been dealing a lot with handling expectations and people more focusing on the end result rather than getting there. Have to do it for yourself. It's like, if you guys are progressing, I don't care what level people are at. If you're the Mal O'Briens or you're trying to make semifinals, like, no, if you're a good person, you're trying hard, yes, be here. You guys are welcome back whenever. Like, that's not an exaggeration. If you guys get here, you have a place to stay, you have a place to train, anytime.
the experience of our first training camp has been unreal. We were both so nervous coming, just because, I mean, we've competed near these guys and against these guys, but being here all weekend with them, we knew that it was going to be completely different. So we were both really nervous, but everybody has been so nice. All the athletes, Kat, Amanda, Hopper, all of them have been so welcoming, but then the whole HWPO crew, really last night when they were talking about it being a family, like, you get that vibe right away. Everybody was so welcoming. The opportunity to be here and be coached by these guys who are literally the best at what they do, it's one of those where you have to kind of take a step back and like realize how cool of an experience this is and that we get to be here. I absolutely want to come back. I think the amount that we've learned in just 3 days is insane. I can only imagine if we continue to build on that. It's also cool to see that the athletes that we trained with that we compete against, but they're just like us in the sense that they're human, and like they pull back from training when they have to, and they get just as sore as we do, and they were complaining about their hands hurting like we do. So it's cool to be like, all right, like they're human too, we can hang. My goal definitely, I want to make it to that big stage at the games for sure. It's scary to say that out loud, but I think like I have the things that it takes to make it there. It's just a matter of putting it all together. And I think the crew here is where I need to be to do that.